Emily was sitting at the small wooden table in the kitchen, the soft morning light filtering through the white curtains. The aroma of fresh coffee filled the air, but she couldn't feel the taste of the drink she used to love. The screen of her cell phone lit up, and her heart raced for a moment, but upon reading the message, her joy dissolved like sugar in water. Lucas was ending their relationship via text. "Emily, I need to be honest. I'm not happy anymore. It's better if we end things here." The words echoed in her mind, and each rereading seemed to amplify the pain. She let the phone slip from her hands and rested her face in her arms on the table. Tears streamed down her cheeks, each drop carrying the weight of abandonment that consumed her. How could he do this to me, she thought, feeling empty. After the impact of the message, Emily decided she needed a breather. She got up and walked to the living room, where a dusty old family photo album sat on a shelf. The album had always been a refuge for her, a portal to happier memories. As she opened the cover, the photos greeted her. Smiles, birthday parties, moments of joy. But among the images, something caught her attention. An aged letter was tucked between the pages, almost like a secret waiting to be discovered. Curiously, she carefully pulled out the letter, her hands trembling slightly. It was a message from her grandmother, written in elegant but slightly smudged handwriting. "My dear Emily," the letter began, and as her eyes scanned the lines, her heart raced with the anticipation of something significant. "If you ever find this letter, know that there is an inheritance waiting for you. Our family has a rich history, filled with mysteries. Do not let the challenges of the present overshadow the brightness of your future. I loved deeply, and I hope you too find a love worth having." Emily read and reread the passage, trying to grasp what her grandmother meant. An inheritance. What could it be? The past was calling her, and she felt a wave of curiosity wash over her. Maybe this is a way to start over, she thought, as she picked up her phone again and typed in the name of the mansion mentioned in the letter. Devereaux Mansion, California. Without a second thought, Emily decided she needed to investigate. The day was just beginning, and her mind was buzzing with new determination. She couldn't stay stuck in the pain of her breakup with Lucas. She needed to discover more about her family and this mysterious inheritance. With a deep breath, she got dressed and left the house, driving to the local library. During the ride, memories of Lucas began to blend with the excitement of her discovery. "I need to know who I am," she murmured to herself as the cityscape blurred along the road. At the library, Emily dove into old books, documents, and records. Time passed without her noticing, and when she finally found what she was looking for, her heart raced. The mansion existed and was registered as the property of the Devereaux family. She smiled to herself, realizing her life was about to change. "I'm going to uncover the truth," she whispered, resolute. "Nothing can stop me now." Upon arriving at the old mansion, Emily felt a mix of fascination and apprehension. The architecture was imposing, with towers that seemed to touch the sky and arched windows that reflected the California sunlight. The sea breeze carried with it a salty scent, and the sound of waves crashing on the shore provided a gentle soundtrack for her new beginning. However, the mansion also held an air of mystery, as if the walls had witnessed secrets kept for generations. Emily was greeted by a lawyer in a dark suit, who introduced himself as Mr. Thompson. He had a serious yet kind gaze that made her feel a little more at ease. "Welcome, Emily. It's a pleasure to finally meet you. I am your family's attorney, and I'm here to assist you with the inheritance transition," he said, extending his hand. "Thank you, Mr. Thompson," she replied, shaking his hand with a mix of nervousness and anticipation. "I'm still trying to process all of this. An inheritance. I never knew I had one." "I understand. The mansion was left to you, and this includes not only the property but also a collection of historical items and documents. It's a legacy that comes with a lot of responsibility," the lawyer explained as they made their way inside the house. As soon as they crossed the threshold, Emily was enveloped by a sense of nostalgia and melancholy. The entrance hall was vast, with a grand chandelier hanging from the ceiling and a spiral staircase unfurling before her. The dark wooden floor creaked beneath her feet, and the walls were adorned with old portraits of her family. "This house is beautiful," Emily commented, admiring the details. Yes, it's a true family treasure. But, as you can imagine, it also carries many secrets. Being here can be a bit overwhelming, Mr. Thompson said, observing Emily's expression. You will have access to the entire mansion's collection and, more importantly, to your grandmother's diary. It may provide answers about your family's history. Emily felt her heart race. A diary? Where can I find it? I'll take you to the library. It's a place where many of the family documents and objects are stored. I believe you'll find some clues there, the lawyer said, guiding her down the hallway. As they entered the library, Emily was astonished by the number of books and the characteristic smell of aged paper. The atmosphere was cozy yet carried an aura of mystery. Here it is, Mr. Thompson said, pointing to a shelf in the corner. Your grandmother's diary is right there. Emily approached, pulled the worn leather book from the shelf, and began to leaf through it. The pages were yellowed with age, but the handwriting was clear and legible. She wrote about so many moments and secrets, Emily murmured, absorbing every word. It seems there was more to her life than I imagined. Yes, many mysteries and untold stories. Sometimes, the truth can be difficult to swallow, but it is essential for understanding your history, the lawyer said, with an expression of understanding. As Emily read, she became intrigued by the mentions of a family rivalry. She talks about a feud. It seems there were tensions between families, she commented, furrowing her brow. What happened? That is something you will have to discover for yourself, Emily. The past can have its shadows, but it also offers valuable lessons. How you handle it can shape your future, Mr. Thompson advised before stepping out to give her a moment of privacy. Alone in the library, surrounded by the echoes of the past, Emily sat down in an old armchair and began reading the passages from the diary, her hands trembling slightly. Her grandmother's words revealed not only secrets but also pains and joys that interconnected generations. She felt connected to a part of her history she had never known existed. I need to understand all of this, she whispered to herself, determined to uncover the secrets of the mansion and her family. The inheritance she had received was more than just a property. It was an opportunity to discover who she really was and where she came from. Emily was in an emotional turmoil. The mansion, which once seemed like a refuge of mysteries and promises, had now turned into a labyrinth of uncertainties. The presence of Alex, her best friend, was a relief, but it also stirred an uncomfortable feeling within her. After all, the inheritance she had uncovered was not just a matter of material possessions. There was an emotional weight that seemed to grow heavier every day. That afternoon, as sunlight filtered through the dusty windows of the mansion, Emily and Alex sat in the living room, surrounded by antique furniture and framed photographs that told stories of a distant past. The silence between them was palpable, interrupted only by the occasional sound of a bird outside. Alex, with his arms crossed and a concerned expression, decided to break the ice. Emily, you need to tell me how you're feeling about all of this, he began, his voice soft yet firm. I can't imagine what you're going through, but I'm here to help. She looked at him, emotions swirling within her. I don't know if I'm ready for this, Alex. The inheritance, Lucas, this rivalry with Sophie. Everything is happening so fast. I feel lost. It's understandable. But you shouldn't let this consume you. You're the heiress, and that means you have the power to decide what to do with your life now. Don't let the pressure from others define you, Alex replied, leaning forward as if he wanted his words to penetrate her heart. Emily sighed, feeling torn. But what if I don't know what to do? What if I make the wrong choice? I can't let the mansion fall into Sophie's hands, but at the same time, I don't want this to drive us apart. We need to be a team. I'm here for you, but you have to let me in. You're not alone in this, Alex asserted, his voice filled with sincerity. As they talked, a wave of memories flooded Emily's mind. Lucas. The abrupt breakup, the betrayal that now felt so distant yet still so vivid in her memory. Without warning, she murmured, "Do you think Lucas regrets it? Do you think he really cares about me?" Alex hesitated before answering. I don't know, Emily. He seems to be looking for a way to reconnect, but you need to ask yourself what you want. What do you really feel for him? Is it love or just nostalgia for what you had? Emily looked out the window at the calm sea reflecting the blue sky. I miss what we had, but I also feel betrayed. How can I trust him again? The conversation was delving into dangerous waters, but Alex didn't hesitate. Sometimes, it's easier to put feelings aside and focus on what you need right now. Whatever that means for you. Dealing with the inheritance, with the rivalry. That's what should come first. Lucas can wait. But what if I can't handle all of this? What if I end up losing you and Lucas? Emily asked, her vulnerability evident in her voice. You're not going to lose me. I'll be here, no matter what happens, Alex assured her, looking her in the eyes. And as for Lucas, if he really cares, he'll respect your decisions. You are the priority now. At that moment, the tension in the room was almost palpable. Emily felt a mix of gratitude and confusion. Alex had always been by her side, but the weight of the inheritance and the echo of the past made everything more complicated. Thank you, Alex. I really appreciate your support. But I need time to process all of this. Of course. I understand. And if you need space, I'll be around, but don't hesitate to reach out when you're ready to talk. I care about you, Alex replied, his voice gentle yet filled with determination. As their conversation faded, Emily realized that even amid the confusion, there was something comforting about Alex's presence. But the emotional battle was far from over. And as the day turned into night, the shadow of Lucas loomed over her thoughts, reminding her that the future was full of uncertainties. Emily was in the living room of the mansion, surrounded by the echoes of the past resonating in the old, dusty walls. The environment, with its gilded frames and heavy furniture, seemed to observe the tension hanging in the air. Sitting on a red velvet sofa, she gazed out the window at the turbulent sea, her heart heavy with the presence of Sophie, her distant cousin. Sophie, with her perfectly styled blonde hair and a designer dress that accentuated her curves, entered the room as if she were the rightful owner. Her gaze was challenging, and an ironic smile danced on her lips. So, Emily, it seems you really believe you can handle all of this by yourself, she said, her voice sweet as honey but with an acidity that made her disdain clear. Emily turned, feeling a chill run down her spine. I am the legitimate heiress. The mansion and the fortune are mine. You have no right to anything here, she replied, trying to remain calm, though anger began to simmer inside her. Right. Do you really think this is just about a piece of paper? Sophie crossed her arms defiantly. You know your grandmother had her secrets. Did she really want a stranger like you to inherit all of this? I'm the granddaughter of her sister. You can't just ignore that. Stranger? You never cared about our family before. Now that you have a chance to get rich, you show up out of nowhere, Emily shot back, her tone rising. What do you want, Sophie? I want what's mine by right. And of course, I want to make sure you don't do anything stupid with this fortune, Sophie replied with a cynical smile. You know nothing about how to handle these assets. The truth is, you're just a lost girl with no experience. The tension between them was palpable, like a storm ready to erupt. Emily took a deep breath, trying to calm herself. I can handle this, Sophie. And I won't let you intimidate me, she asserted, more confidently than she truly felt. Intimidate? No, darling, this is love. I'm just trying to protect our family legacy from someone who knows nothing about it, Sophie said, stepping closer. How about you tell me what you really know about your grandmother? What did you find in that mansion? The diary, the letters. Don't you think all of that might have a bigger meaning? Emily hesitated, the mention of the diary bringing back memories of the revelations she had read. What do you mean by that? She asked, her heart racing. You know, there's a feud between our families. No one knows for sure why, but it could be that your grandmother left something in her letters that might surprise you. Something that could make you rethink your decisions, Sophie provoked, her eyes gleaming with a cunning light. Is that a threat? Emily asked, her tone defiant. It's not a threat, just a statement of fact. The truth is, if you're not careful, you could lose everything in an instant. And the last thing I want is to see our family crumble because of you, Sophie replied, her tone now more serious. I'm not the villain in this story, Sophie. I'm just trying to understand all of this. And you can't blame me for wanting what's mine, Emily replied, determination growing inside her. What if I told you your grandmother had a plan? That she wanted you and me to work together to resolve this dispute? Sophie suggested, her eyes seeming to study Emily's every move. Work together? That sounds like a trap, Emily retorted, suspicious. Maybe, but it could also be the only way to keep our family united. Think about it, Emily. What do you really want? Sophie said, her expression a mixture of sincerity and manipulation. As the conversation unfolded, Emily realized that the rivalry between them was not just about material possessions but about a family legacy that could shape her future. The old mansion, with all its secrets, was now becoming an emotional battleground where every word and glance carried the weight of generations. Emily sat at the foot of the mansion's staircase, the echo of footsteps slowly fading into the dust-laden air of memories. The glow from the candelabras, even when unlit, seemed to reflect the light of the past that surrounded her. She stared at the wooden floor as turbulent thoughts crowded her mind. Memories of Lucas, the pain caused by his departure, crashed into her heart like waves against the rocky shore. The burden of the inheritance she now carried, coupled with her fierce rivalry with Sophie, made everything even more confusing. Emily. Alex's voice interrupted her reverie. He had just entered the mansion, his expression worried as he saw her sitting alone. Is everything okay? You shouldn't be here after the gala. I can't stop thinking about everything, she replied, lifting her eyes to meet his. Sophie, the inheritance, and Lucas. I feel like everything is crumbling around me. Alex moved closer, sitting down beside her. It's understandable. You're going through a lot. But what about Lucas? Do you really think he cares about you, or just about what you've inherited? The question cut through Emily like a knife. I don't know, she admitted, vulnerability palpable in her voice. Part of me wants to believe he cares, but another part fears he's only interested in the inheritance. I don't want to be just the heiress to him. Alex sighed, glancing down at the floor as if searching for the right words. Your connection was real. But now, with all this, you need to think about what you truly desire. Do you still love him? What I feel is confusing, Emily replied, closing her eyes for a moment. I loved him so much, but the pain of separation is still fresh. And now, with Sophie, everything is so complicated. Complicated, yes, but not impossible, Alex said, looking directly into her eyes. You need to discover what you want, not what others expect of you. And as for me, I can't help but feel insecure. What happens if you decide to move forward with Lucas? What if, in some way, you also distance yourself from me? Emily fell silent, his words resonating in her mind. Alex, that's not what I want. You've always been by my side, supporting me. And that means a lot to me. But I need some time alone to think. I can't let the pressure of the inheritance or the past guide me. Of course, I understand, Alex said, his voice soft and supportive. Just don't forget that I'm here. You don't have to face this alone. She thanked him with a sad smile. I know. And I appreciate that so much. But right now, I can't handle anything else. I need to understand who I really am and what I want now. Alex nodded, though his gaze conveyed silent concern. If you need anything, just let me know. Don't hesitate. Emily watched as he walked away, leaving her alone once more. The silence in the mansion felt deeper, as if the walls held the secrets of her family. She got up and walked to the window, looking out at the sea stretching before her. The waves gently broke on the shore, and she allowed herself to dream for a moment. Why is all of this so complicated? She murmured to herself. Alex's words echoed in her mind, and as she gazed at the horizon, a new determination began to grow within her. She needed clarity, and for that, she had to confront not only the challenges brought by the inheritance but also her own feelings. I can't let the past define me, Emily decided, feeling a wave of hope. I need to discover who I am and what I want, regardless of Lucas or Sophie. With this resolution, she stepped away from the window, determined to seek the answers she so desperately craved, even if it meant facing the shadows of her past. Emily walked through the dusty corridors of the mansion, feeling the weight of history around her. The walls, adorned with family portraits, seemed to whisper secrets from times gone by. The scent of aged wood and mildew filled the air, but there was something more present, a sense that every corner of the house held memories yearning to be uncovered. As she explored, her heart raced with a mix of curiosity and apprehension. It was then that, while moving an old bookshelf, a faint creak caught her attention. Emily crouched down and noticed a small hidden handle. With a surge of impulse, she pulled it, and with a snap, a secret door swung open, revealing a dark compartment. She hesitated for a moment, adrenaline coursing through her veins, but curiosity proved stronger. With effort, she turned on her phone's flashlight and illuminated the interior. The compartment was filled with yellowed letters and black and white photographs. Emily approached, her heart racing as she examined the objects. She picked up one of the letters, carefully handwritten, and began to read aloud, as if the words were a spell transporting her to the past. My beloved, every day away from you is torture. The ties that separate us are more than just families. They are chains that bind me to my fate. But my heart knows only to love you. The words were passionate and anguished. Emily felt a lump in her throat. Who was this man? And who was the woman writing with such desperation? The name was unclear, but the pain and passion were palpable. She continued to read, lost in the narrative of a forbidden love that seemed to resonate with her own emotional conflicts. If I could, I would run away with you, but the weight of our heritage and lineage holds me to this place. I promise that one day, I will find a way to unite us. My God, Emily gasped, breathless. This can't be true. She looked around, as if expecting someone to appear and confirm that it was all just a dream. But the solitude of the mansion enveloped her, and the reality was undeniable. The rivalry between the families was not just a matter of material possessions. It was a legacy of love and pain. As she examined more letters, a photograph slipped from her fingers. It was a portrait of a young woman, with bright eyes and a smile radiating hope, standing beside an intense-looking man. Emily recognized the woman as her grandmother, but the man was a stranger. Who are you? She murmured, gripping the photo tightly. At that moment, Alex walked into the room, drawn by the tense silence. Hey, Emily, what did you find? He moved closer and glanced at the letter in her hands, then at the photograph she was holding. Wow, this is interesting. It's more than interesting, Alex, she replied, the emotions spilling over in her voice. It's a story of forbidden love. My grandmother was in love with someone from a rival family. That explains everything. The feud, the inheritance. Everything. That's a heavy burden to carry, Alex said, placing a hand on her shoulder. But maybe this can help you better understand what's at stake here. The inheritance isn't just about money or properties. It's a legacy of emotions and stories. Emily nodded, feeling the depth of the revelation. I always thought inheritance was about material possessions, but now I realize it's much more than that. It's about who we are and where we come from. You should tell Lucas and Sophie, Alex suggested, his voice a bit hesitant. This could change everything. I don't know if I'm ready to share this. The truth is, I'm still processing everything, and I don't know if I can trust them, Emily admitted, feeling torn between the need to reveal the truth and the fear of how it might be received. You're not alone, Emily, Alex said, with a sincerity that made her feel a little stronger. We're in this together. Let's uncover the truth about your family, and who knows, it might help us find a way forward. Emily looked at him, a new determination growing inside her. You're right. This can't stay hidden. My family's story needs to be revealed. And as the shadows of the mansion surrounded her, she began to understand that the revelations of the past could not only clarify her present but also shape her future. Emily was in her room in the mansion, the soft light of dusk filtering through the curtains, casting dancing shadows on the walls. Her grandmother's diary was still open on the table, its yellowed pages revealing secrets that Emily was still struggling to process. Her mind was a whirlwind, filled with memories of Lucas and the promises they once made. The pain of their breakup still pulsed, but confusion was now accompanied by a new perspective on her life and family. Meanwhile, Lucas sat in his car, parked in front of the mansion. He looked out the window, hesitating. The news of Emily's inheritance had spread quickly, and he couldn't ignore the pain he had caused. "I need to talk to her," he murmured to himself, lightly tapping his hand on the steering wheel. The thought of approaching Emily terrified him, yet it also drew him in. He knew he had made a mistake, but what could he say to fix everything? Determined to face his fears, Lucas got out of the car and walked up to the mansion's door. His heart raced as he climbed the steps. He hesitated before ringing the doorbell, but the need to see Emily was stronger than his fear of what she might say. When the door opened, Emily stood there, surprised. Her expression was a mix of disbelief and hurt. "Lucas, what are you doing here?" Her voice was low, almost a whisper. I needed to see you," he began, swallowing hard. "I know I have no right to just show up like this, but I can't stop thinking about you. About us. This is so typical of you, isn't it?" Emily shot back, crossing her arms. "Showing up when you need something, when the situation gets complicated. What do you want, Lucas? The inheritance? Your chance to take advantage of what I've discovered?" "No. That's not it," he exclaimed, his voice heavy with emotion. "I'm here because I realized how wrong I was to break up with you. I let myself be influenced by pressure, by the idea that I wasn't good enough. But now, seeing all of this, I realize you were always the person I wanted by my side." Emily felt a wave of conflicting emotions. Her heart wanted to believe his words, but her mind reminded her of the pain she endured when he left her. "Lucas, you hurt me. I can't just forget that. Do you think you can come back and everything will be like it was before?" "I don't expect it to be easy," he replied, taking a step closer, his eyes sincere. "But I want to try. I want to be part of your life again, if you'll let me. I'm willing to do whatever it takes." She looked at him, the silence between them stretching like a delicate thread, ready to snap. "And what if it's just because you feel guilty about the fortune? What if you only want to be here because of what I uncovered?" "No, Emily. I'm not like that. I care about you, not the money. What hurts the most is losing you. It doesn't matter what you have or don't have, I just want you back," he asserted, his eyes filled with sincerity. At that moment, Alex entered the mansion, bringing with him the light and comforting energy of their friendship. Upon seeing Lucas there, the tension in the air became palpable. "Emily, are you okay?" he asked, noticing the expression on her face. I am." She hesitated, looking between the two men. Lucas was just explaining himself. Alex furrowed his brow, concern evident. "You don't have to listen to this, Emily. What Lucas did was wrong. You deserve better." "I know, Alex. But I also miss him," Emily confessed, her voice barely above a whisper. "I'm confused." Lucas looked at Alex, his tone firm. "I'm not here to hurt her. I just want a chance to show I can be different. And you think that's fair?" Alex shot back, his protective instinct for Emily clear. "You can't just come back and expect everything to be fine." "I'm willing to fight for her," Lucas replied, determination in his voice undeniable. Emily felt the pressure from both sides. The memories of a past love mingled with the loyalty of a friend who had always been by her side. She looked at Lucas, then at Alex, her emotions tumultuous. "I need some time to think. I need to understand what I really want." Both men watched her, each hoping for her response, but Emily knew the decision was hers. The battle within her was far from over, but in that moment, she needed clarity. Emily sat at the dining table in the mansion, her gaze lost in the pages of her grandmother's diary. The words she had read echoed in her mind, and a whirlwind of emotions enveloped her. Sophie had decided to contest her, claiming the inheritance should be divided. The weight of the situation pressed down on her. She could hardly believe that such an old family rivalry would manifest so directly in her life. I can't believe she has the nerve to do this, Emily said, breaking the heavy silence that hung between her and Alex. He sat beside her, a serious expression on his face, his fingers nervously tapping on the table. She won't stop at anything, Em. The rivalry between you two may be deeper than we imagined, Alex replied, trying to offer comfort that didn't seem enough. We need to prepare for what's coming. Emily looked at him, her heart aching. I didn't want this to happen. All I wanted was to understand the truth about my family and maybe find some peace. And you will find it, Alex assured her, though his own insecurity was reflected in his gaze. But we need to unite. You can't face Sophie alone. In the following days, tension mounted as the legal battle approached. Emily and Alex spent hours discussing strategies and reviewing documents. The mansion, once a sanctuary of memories, was now becoming a battlefield. The walls that had witnessed laughter and celebrations were now heavy with uncertainty and conflict. I don't know if I can handle all of this, Alex, Emily confessed in a moment of weakness. Sophie isn't just a distant cousin, she's a rival. What if I lose? What if all of this is in vain? Alex moved closer, placing a comforting hand on her shoulder. You won't lose. Remember that the truth is on your side. And we're in this together, don't forget that. But as the days passed, Sophie always seemed one step ahead. She had managed to gather information that Emily and Alex didn't have, using the family's own lawyer against them. During a meeting, Sophie even hinted that Emily wasn't fit to manage the inheritance, not to mention the subtle doubts she planted in Alex's mind, trying to create uncertainty about Emily's intentions. Do you really think she is the right person to take care of all this? Sophie said with a sneering smile, as Alex struggled to maintain his composure. She can barely handle the pressure of a simple diary. How can she manage a mansion? Enough, Sophie. Alex shot back, unable to contain his indignation any longer. You can't just undermine her confidence like that. And you? Are you so blinded by your friendship that you don't see what's at stake? Sophie retorted, her eyes gleaming with a malice that made Alex uneasy. The tension among the three of them was escalating, and Emily felt increasingly lost. She began to question whether she could truly trust Alex, or if he, even unknowingly, could be swayed by Sophie. The truth about the inheritance wasn't just a matter of material possessions, it was about identity, and the pressure was becoming unbearable. One night, while they were reviewing documents in search of something that could turn the tables in their favor, Emily decided to open her heart. Alex, I need to be honest with you. I don't know if I can handle all of this alone. And there's something else. I read some things in the diary that left me confused about our family and about you too. He looked at her with concern. What did you read, Emily? If you don't tell me, I can't help you. About the rivalry, about our family history. I feel like all of this is pulling us into something much bigger than us. And I don't want it to interfere with our friendship. Alex sighed, his expression revealing an internal struggle. I have doubts too, Em. I don't know if I can be the person you need right now. I'm battling my own insecurities. Silence fell, and Emily realized that the situation was far from simple. She needed clarity, but the shadows of the past seemed darker than ever. The atmosphere in the courtroom was heavy. The dark wooden walls and polished leather benches couldn't hide the tension that lingered in the air. Emily sat in the front row, her heart racing. Beside her, Alex held her hand, offering a bit of strength amid the chaos. At the other end of the room, Sophie watched with an enigmatic smile, as if she knew something no one else did. The court will begin shortly, Alex said, glancing at Emily. Are you ready? I don't know if I'm ready to face Sophie again, she replied, her voice trembling. She always seems to be one step ahead. At that moment, the judge entered and banged the gavel, calling the court to order. The hearing began, and Sophie's words echoed through the room like a bombshell. The inheritance doesn't belong to me just by blood ties, but by the history and what my family has done to protect it. Emily can't simply claim it by right. And what have you done, Sophie? Emily shot back, rising from her seat. You aren't part of our family. Your only intention is to steal what is mine. The judge looked sternly at Emily. Silence. Ma'am. Please maintain your composure. Emily sat down, but rage bubbled inside her. The truth was that the family rivalry was at its peak, and she couldn't allow Sophie to intimidate her. The hearing continued, and the lawyers for both sides presented their evidence. Sophie was well prepared, with documents in hand and witnesses seemingly ready to support her. I would like to draw the court's attention to the fact that Emily has no experience in managing a property like this, Sophie said with a tone of disdain. What makes her a suitable candidate to inherit the mansion and the fortune? And what do you know about that, Sophie? Emily interrupted, now fully engaged in the discussion. You've spent your whole life away from our family. What you really want is power, not the inheritance. That's what motivates you. Sophie smiled, but there was a glint of anger in her eyes. Do you really think you know me, Emily? You have no idea what I've been through to be here. The judge demanded calm again and called the next witness. It was an old acquaintance of the family, someone who had direct knowledge of the relationships between the two families. I know both parties and can say that the rivalry is much deeper than anyone imagines, he began, looking directly at Sophie. The relationships among your family members have been marked by misunderstandings and betrayals. Emily felt her heart race upon hearing those words. The truth was that the family rivalry wasn't just a matter of money. There were stories of love and betrayal that intertwined their fates. Tension continued to rise when, suddenly, Alex stood up. I have something to say, he declared, capturing everyone's attention. What's at stake here isn't just an inheritance but the chance for two families to unite. Emily is an integral and loving person, while Sophie is only interested in dividing and conquering. Sophie rolled her eyes, but Alex pressed on. If Emily's grandmother truly wanted this inheritance to be an opportunity to unite the family, then we must honor that intention. We can't let greed dominate us. The audience was tense, and the judge, visibly intrigued, asked Alex to finish. Do you believe this union is possible? He inquired. Yes, I believe, Alex replied, looking at Emily with an intensity that made her feel a mix of hope and anxiety. But we need to face the truth, and that includes the secrets surrounding the inheritance. In that instant, Emily looked at Sophie, who seemed to be preparing for a final attack. Do you think you can take me down just with words? Sophie provoked, a mocking smile on her face. You are nothing without the inheritance. Maybe you're wrong, Emily responded, her voice steady. I am more than that, and I won't let you control me anymore. If you have proof that can ruin my claim, then show it. No more lies. The tension in the courtroom was palpable. Sophie's gaze locked with Emily's, and for a brief moment, everything seemed to freeze. The battle was far from over, but Emily knew she had to stay strong. Alex's words echoed in her mind, and despite the fear she felt, a growing determination surged within her. She would not allow anyone to dictate her fate. In the courtroom, the tension hung in the air like a storm about to break. Emily was nervous but resolute. Sophie, with a confident smile, watched as the attorneys prepared to present their evidence. Beside her, Alex held Emily's hand, conveying a silent strength. The judge entered, and silence fell as everyone stood in respect. Can we begin? What do you say? The judge asked, looking at the lawyers for both parties. Sophie's lawyer, a stern-looking man, stood up. Your Honor, we have evidence that shows the inheritance should be divided among the families. My client is entitled to a significant portion, and we will prove it. Emily felt a chill in her stomach. The prospect of losing everything was terrifying. But before she could lose herself in her thoughts, Alex stood up. Your Honor, if I may, I would like to present evidence that could change everything. The judge nodded, surprised. Go ahead. Alex turned to Emily, his eyes conveying a silent plea. He had found the letter that Emily had cherished, the one that revealed the true essence of the inheritance. This letter, written by Emily's grandmother, sheds light on a truth that everyone needs to know. He began to read aloud, his words echoing through the room. My dear ones, if you are reading this, it is because I am no longer with you. But what I desire is that instead of fighting and dividing, you unite. The true inheritance I leave is not just material, but a legacy of love and understanding. What truly matters is the unity of our families, not the division of assets. A murmur swept through the courtroom. Emily felt a wave of emotion wash over her as she heard her grandmother's words. Sophie's lawyer visibly bristled, but he could not deny the relevance of what was being said. The judge, with a thoughtful expression, asked Alex to continue. My grandmother believed that true wealth lies in the relationships we cultivate, not in the possessions we accumulate. She always dreamed of uniting the families, not leaving them in conflict. Alex looked at Sophie. And I can't believe you don't understand this, Sophie. What we are doing here is not just a dispute over money, but a fight for what truly matters. Sophie, who had seemed so confident until that moment, now appeared hesitant. But I have a right to this. My mother does too. You're not seeing the bigger picture, Emily interrupted, her voice firm and clear despite the tension. Grandma wanted us to come together. She always talked about love and family. You can fight for this inheritance, but what we truly inherit is our story and what we make of it. Lucas, who had remained silent until then, stood up. His eyes were fixed on Emily, the pain of the past reflected in his gaze. Emily, I just want to say, I'm sorry. I was wrong to leave you like that. I didn't see what really mattered. If you need me, I'll be by your side. Not for the fortune, but for you. His words echoed in the room, and a new tension formed. Alex looked at Lucas with a mix of jealousy and understanding. This isn't about you, Lucas. It's about Emily and what she really wants. She doesn't need someone who abandoned her in her worst hour. The judge, visibly moved, called for silence and pondered the situation. It seems that all of this is about a legacy much greater than material goods. What you decide today could define the future of your families. However, it was the last part of the letter that touched everyone deeply. Alex read with emotion. Always remember, love and unity are the greatest treasures we can have. No one should be left behind. The words of the grandmother echoed in Emily's mind, and she realized that regardless of the outcome, there was something larger at stake. She looked at Alex, who had supported her unconditionally, and at Lucas, who now wanted to make amends. I don't want our lives to be defined by a piece of paper or by money, Emily said, her voice now clear and resolute. I want us to create a new legacy for our families, one that is based on love. The courtroom fell silent, and for a brief moment, everyone exchanged glances, contemplating what truly mattered. The battle for the inheritance had transformed into a battle for what was essential: love, unity, and understanding. And so Emily, finally free from the shadows of the past, decided that her future would be built with those she truly loved, not because of money.